5:17 hours, Strait of Hormuz, Persian Gulf. A thin amber light crawls across the water's surface. The air smells of brine and diesel. Then -150 simultaneous launch signatures ignite across every radar screen from Bahrain to the Fifth Fleet. Flagship, the AN/SPY-6 air and missile defense radar aboard USS Gerald R. Ford, does not guess. It calculates. Within 4 seconds of initial launch detection, the Combat Information Center registers 150 inbound tracks, a saturation strike, deliberately structured to overwhelm layered defenses through sheer numerical mass. The tracks originate from 3 geographic clusters, mobile launchers concealed across the Zagros mountain foothills, hardened silos along the southern Iranian coastline, and fast attack naval platforms dispersed through the narrow coastal shallows. The missiles are a mixed architecture, Shahab-3 ballistic variants, Fateh 110 precision-guided munitions, and Zulfiqar extended-range ballistic missiles, each category assigned to a separate target set. The targets: naval support activity, Bahrain, the Al Udeid Air Base forward logistics node, and 3 surface combatants operating in the Central Gulf. The stakes cannot be overstated. This is not a demonstration. This is an attempt to decapitate U.S. power projection in the Middle East in a single, coordinated 17-minute window. Rear Admiral David Kessler, Commander, Naval Forces Central Command, receives the flash message at 5 hours 17 minutes and 22 seconds hours. His single transmitted word to the strike group: weapons free. At 5:19 hours, 102 seconds after launch detection, the E-2D advanced. Hawkeye, orbiting at 24,000 feet northeast of Bahrain, locks every inbound track into its ADSB battle management architecture. The picture is refined, distributed, and fused across the entire joint battle space within 8 seconds. 14 FA-1-8E Super Hornets from CVW-8, already airborne on combat air patrol at the instruction of a standing alert posture, receive targeting data simultaneously. The lead element, Calcine Sabre Flight, is already turning north. At 5:22 hours, Sabre Flight reaches maximum engagement range. The lead pilot designates the first 3 ballistic tracks, Shahab-3 variants climbing through 40,000 feet, still in the boost phase. AIM-120D advanced medium-range air-to-air missiles released from 6 aircraft in a coordinated salvo. 24 missiles away. The mathematics are immediate. Boost phase intercepts require less energy, produce greater debris fields clear of population centers, and deny the adversary the kinetic advantage of terminal velocity. 7 of the 24 AIM-120Ds connect. 7 Shahab-3 South disappear from the track picture. 143 tracks remain. At 5:24 hours, the USS Thomas Hudner, an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer operating 180 nautical miles southwest, reports Aegis Engagement Authority transferred and confirmed. The AN/SPY-1DV radar has been painting the inbound swarm since detection -30 seconds. The tactical action officer does not pause. The Standard Missile 3 Block IA is the weapon of choice for the remaining ballistic tracks, missiles. Now passing through mid-course phase, arcing over the Gulf at altitudes exceeding 100 kilometers. 16 SM-3 Block IA rounds exit the vertical launch system in 2 ripple sequences, each separated by 1.4 seconds to prevent exhaust interference. Missiles away. The SM-3 Block IA carries a kinetic kill vehicle, no warhead, no explosive. Just mass and velocity intersecting at a closing speed of nearly 15,000 feet per second. 11 ballistic warheads detonate prematurely in exoatmospheric intercept corridors, debris rains into international waters. 132 tracks remain. At 5:27 hours, the Fateh 110 cruise missiles, terrain hugging at altitudes between 80 and 150 meters, Enter the engagement envelope of USS Lady Gulf, a Ticonderoga-class cruiser positioned as the forward air defense ship. The Aegis weapon system aboard Lady Gulf shifts to Standard Missile 2 Block IIC, optimized for low-altitude, high-clutter engagements. The cruiser fires in continuous wave illumination mode, engaging 14 separate tracks simultaneously. 14 SM-2 south away. 12 impacts confirmed. 2 cruise missiles pass through the intercept corridor. At 5:29 hours. Those 2 missiles are detected by the Mark 99 fire control system aboard the guided missile destroyer USS Nitsy, positioned 22 nautical miles behind Lady Gulf in the layered defense architecture. Both are engaged with SM-2. Both are destroyed. 116 tracks remain, the ballistic residuals from the Zulfiqar salvo, now in terminal phase, descending at angles between 55 and 70 degrees toward Naval Support Activity Bahrain. At 5:31 hours. Terminal High Altitude Area Defense. Batteries positioned at NSA Bahrain and Al Udeid execute the penultimate defensive layer. Thayed intercepts 28 inbound warheads in a 43-second engagement sequence. THAAD's hit-to-kill interceptors do not miss at these closing geometries. 28 more tracks eliminated. 88 tracks remain. The engagement clock reads 14 minutes since first launch. 3 minutes remain before potential impact on fixed installations. 5:32 hours. The sky above NSA Bahrain becomes a wall of fire. What remains of the missile swarm 88 Zulfiqar warheads, 8 surviving cruise missiles, and 14 ballistic re-entry vehicles that defeated upper-tier intercepts through maneuvering trajectories. Enters the terminal defensive envelope simultaneously. The Phalanx close-in weapon systems aboard all surface combatants activate. Each CIWS mount rotates 120 degrees per second. Each fires 4,500 rounds per minute of 20mm tungsten penetrator rounds. The sound is not a burst. It is a sustained, mechanical shriek, continuous, industrial, absolute. 8 cruise missiles shredded at ranges between 900 and 1,800 meters. Debris impacts the water in smoking arcs. On shore, the Patriot PAC-3 MSE batteries at NSA Bahrain open fire. 47 PAC-3 missile segment enhancement rounds away in 61 seconds. Each PAC-3MC carries a kinetic hit vehicle surrounded by a fragmentation sleeve. Lethality radius, 360 degrees. 41 warheads obliterated. 6 survived the Patriot engagement. The sky erupted. 6 simultaneous detonations. 2 warheads impacted the outer perimeter wall of NSA Bahrain. 1 struck an open logistics staging area on the northern hardstand. 3 detonated prematurely in the terminal approach corridor, disrupted by electromagnetic countermeasures from the NSLQ-32 Stingray electronic warfare system, causing proximity fuse failures. Shock waves shattered windows across a 4-kilometer radius. Dust rose in columns. Alarms screamed across every frequency. The surface combatants simultaneously absorbed the last coordinated wave of Fatah 110 cruise missiles, 6 more rounds that had been held in reserve, launched from Iranian fast attack craft operating inside the 12 nautical mile coastal limit. Sabre flight, now low on fuel but still lethal, engaged 4 of them with a IM-9X Sidewinder at close range. 2 more were destroyed by MH-6 OR Seahawk helicopters operating from USS Thomas Hudner, which fired a GM-114 Hellfire rounds at ranges under 4 nautical miles. 0 cruise missiles reached any U.S. hull. Boats destroyed. 11 Iranian fast attack craft engaged and neutralized by a GM-65 Maverick missiles from FA-18E Super Hornets in the 24-minute engagement window. Missiles intercepted, 144 of 150. Time elapsed from first launch to last detonation, 17 minutes, 23 seconds. U.S. surface combatants. 0 hulls damaged, U.S. aircraft. 0 losses, 17 minutes and 23 seconds after initial launch. Silence settled across the Persian Gulf. The water reflected orange from burning debris. Fields 40 nautical miles north-northeast of Bahrain. Damage assessment teams moved immediately. The 2 warheads that struck NS of Bahrain's outer perimeter produced structural damage to a 200-meter section of the blast wall and destroyed 3 unoccupied utility vehicles. The logistics staging area strike produced a secondary fire, extinguished within 11 minutes by on-base firefighting units. No aircraft were damaged. No fuel storage was compromised. No command infrastructure was affected. No U.S. Navy personnel were killed in action. 11 sailors sustained non-life-threatening injuries from blast concussion and debris at the perimeter impact sites. Search and rescue operations were not required for any U.S. asset recovered. Iranian fast attack craft wreckage was cataloged and photographed within 40 minutes of the engagement's conclusion. The Fifth Fleet issued an immediate flash message to all Joint Force Component Commanders: NSA Bahrain operational, Al-Udeid operational, Strike Group operational, battlespace clear. The tactical lessons were immediate and unambiguous. The 150 missile saturation strategy, Iran's doctrinal answer to U.S. missile defense superiority, failed not because of a single system, but because of a layered architecture designed explicitly for this scenario. Each layer, Hawkeye battle management, SM-3 exoatmospheric intercept, SM-2 mid-tier engagement, THA-AD terminal defense, PAC-3 MSE point defense, and Phalanx kinetic last resort, was calibrated to accept leakage and pass residual threats to the next tier. The entire system performed as a coherent organism rather than a collection of independent platforms. No single layer was asked to achieve perfection. Perfection was the product of the architecture itself. Strategic ramifications cascaded across the region within hours. Saudi Arabia's Ministry of Defense placed its own Patriot batteries on heightened alert. Israeli Air Force F-35 Ayadir units conducted unannounced readiness exercises over the Negev. The Strait of Hormuz, through which 21% of the world's oil supply transits daily, remained open. Tanker traffic, briefly diverted by commercial maritime authorities at 5:20 hours, resumed transit operations at 7:45 hours. Following an all-clear maritime notice, the engagement fundamentally reshaped the calculus within the Iranian command structure. A saturation strike of 150 missiles, representing a significant fraction of Iran's precision-guided ballistic and cruise missile inventory, built over years at substantial cost, had failed to destroy a single U.S. warship, disable a single runway, or kill a single American service member. The asymmetric cost exchange was devastating. Iran expended irreplaceable strategic assets against a defensive architecture that, while costly to operate, was entirely renewable through existing production and logistics pipelines. Military analysts noted that the engagement validated the SM-3 Block II's boost phase intercept capability against ballistic threats, a capability that had been questioned following earlier test limitations, and confirmed that the VAD Patriot handoff protocol, refined through years of combined training exercises, functioned under operational saturation conditions for the first documented time in combat. Could Iran reconstitute sufficient missile stocks for a second saturation strike within the strategic window before U.S. force reinforcement completed its surge? The answer, according to CENTCOM logistical assessments, declassified 48 hours after the engagement, was no. The window had closed. The strategic moment had been spent. The Persian Gulf remained open. The Fifth Fleet remained operational. The deterrence architecture that critics had called theoretical proved In 17 minutes and 23 seconds, to be absolute, 150 missiles, 144 intercepts, 0 U.S. warships lost, 0 runways destroyed. The Persian Gulf remains open not through negotiation, but through the cold, layered, mathematically verified precision of the most sophisticated defensive architecture ever fielded in combat. Iran fired its largest salvo. The answer came in 17 minutes. The answer was no.